is actually longer than the River Niger from Senegal, where it came from, down to the Atlantic Ocean. So when you look at Nigeria, or what I see in Nigeria every day, is breathtaking prospects. I choose not to look at the problems, because the problems are not really problems per se. The problems are just symptoms of some, mismanaged or untended prospects we have. So Nigeria for me is all possibility, all inspiration. Nigeria is breathtaking. Nigeria is significant.
So with all the significance and all the accolades that you have given to this great country, how come there's so much poverty? They say we're the poverty capital of the world. How come 14, 15 million children are out of school? How come our power is not working? How come our foreign exchange has depreciated from 1 naira to 1 pound to 1 naira to 776 pounds? And today we have about 4 or 5 different exchange rates operating in the same Nigeria. How come there's so many poor people? How come almost every day people are leaving this country for greener pastures in places that never could compete with us? What is the problem?
Through my eyes, there is one problem, if we could call it a problem, though it's a challenge. And one phrase I have used to capture that challenge is what we call irresponsible governance. Irresponsible governance itself is the brainchild of a group of people we refer to as leaders, but they ain't actually leaders, they are bosses. There are people who probably, as a result of the times they were born in, are used or have been used to bossing people around. We do not have leaders, actually. We have bosses, short of calling them like dictators or tyrants, or they're not really leaders. And that is where the problem with Nigeria is. And I recall saying Nigeria is a small Africa. Whatever ails Nigeria is actually a mirror of what ails Africa. If you recall, Nelson Mandela said it somewhere that the entire continent is waiting for Nigeria and is disappointed that Nigeria hasn't taken its rightful place as what you can call the eldest African sibling, if the continent were a family. And why is this not so? It's because that group of people mistakenly called leaders, have not actually fit into the shoes of leadership. They are more like bosses and godfathers than they are leaders and mentors. And there are differences, okay, distinct, marked differences as to who a leader is and who a boss is and who a godfather is and who a mentor is. So the problem in a nutshell for me is there is what we call a deep-seated deficit of responsible governance, of mentors, and of leaders. Probably we have a surplus of godfathers and the other ones.
Okay, so we are speaking today on the subject of Africa's leadership challenges. Can you give us a rough background idea of what you mean by the challenges of Africa's leadership, and what do we do about this challenge of Africa's leadership?
Indeed, thank you very much. I can. And before we start, I will want to set our minds on some contact points for what I have to say about Africa's leadership challenges. These contact points will help us begin to see what exactly these challenges are and where the solutions can come from. So the first of these contact points is, who is a leader? Basically, we have definitions for leadership. Next is, has Africa any leaders? And that will closely dovetail into what kind of leaders has Africa? Today's Africa, Africa of 5, 10, 15, 20, 40 years ago. Having done that, I will also want to bring the fourth contact point to, can Africa have leaders in the real sense of the word? And after which we'll go on to who is that dream African leader we expect? And we'll wrap it up with where are Africa's dream leaders? And in the course of dwelling on these 6 points, you'll begin to see exactly where the drift should come from, where the problem is, and who the real African leader of 40 years ago, of independence, 1960 Nigeria to date, who have they been? And what can we expect of tomorrow's leaders? I intend to do just that. So with your permission, sir, I intend to begin.
Please go ahead.
So who is a leader? A leader, basically, as we have it in the Oxford Dictionary, is someone who actually leads a group of people. Someone who leads a group, either as in a country, either as in a parish, whichever way you lead people towards a certain goal or towards a certain achievement or directive. And so what is leadership? Leadership becomes those who are engaged in doing just what leadership has said it is. And having said that, we go to the second one, which is the second contact point, which is, has Africa any leaders? Past and present. It's a sad no. Yeah, there are some emergent leaders, but then when you put them within the pool of what you want to call African leaders, these emergent ones are so few and insignificant. They are easily diluted into the mix and they're just not seen. If you look at Africa today across any perspective, economy, look at it politically, you look at it on the Global Peace Index, whichever way you look at it, you find out that Africa is broiling. Africa is broiling, is embroiled in crisis. And this crisis is actually engineered, midwifed by a set of people, in quote, we call them leaders, who really are not leaders. These are people who would rather take than give. These are people who would rather have you kneel before them than stand before them. These are people who will see you as subjects, not as citizens. And those are the kind of leaders we have had right through. If you use Nigeria, remember I told you Nigeria is just like a small Africa. These are the kind of leaders we've had since 1960, as I know my country. 1960 Nigeria to date has seen a situation where leaders are actually up there and the citizens or the followers are meant to be down here. The citizens uphold the leaders do not uphold the citizens. The leaders trample on the citizens and the citizens are meant to feel privileged to be trampled on. Leaders in Africa feel entitled about being oppressionist. They feel it's a birthright to actually be in office. And when you have been in office, like the biblical, the son of, I think it was Solomon's son now, who told them, my father actually gave you luxury, I was flogging with scorpions. Our leaders tend to feel they're entitled to flog us with scorpions. So what I'm trying to say is, leaders in Africa have become a brand in oppression. Leaders in Africa have become another name for what you call flamboyance, irresponsible flamboyance. You see leaders in Africa buy lions. Yes, they buy lions and all kind of exotic animals and put them in palaces. Okay, I'm sorry, I may have to mention names, but these things happen. You see caged, exotic, exorbitant animals in palaces that are meant to house the African leader. And these animals even eat better than citizens. In fact, they are so well fed that the only thing we haven't seen is the citizens being even thrown to them for meals. It's that horrible. It's that severe. So if we keep at it and we go on to what kind of leaders then can Africa have? Can we have leaders in the real sense of the word? Yes, we can. Yes, we can. And before I even say anything about yes, we can, let's leave Africa for a while and go to a place we know today as Ukraine. And who do I want to talk about in Ukraine? I want to talk about a thespian and a comedian. A thespian is someone who acts plays, and a comedian is someone who cracks jokes. And his name is followed me. Sorry, I'm not Ukrainian. Volodymyr Zelensky. Zelensky is easier for me to pronounce. And this man inspires my dream, my picture, and my aspiration of who a leader should be. He never picked a gun in his life. He's probably never led people in his life. But overnight, he found himself in that position. And what did he do? He went right ahead, not like a godfather. No. Not like a godfather, but he came in like a mentor of people, not like a boss, but like a leader. He wore his fatigues, what we call military camouflage. He put a helmet on his head. He's probably never known where the trigger is on a gun. And he's led people. He's led people for the past few weeks now, running probably to God knows whether it will continue for a month or a year or more, but that's leadership. So let's come back here to Africa. Do we have Zelenskys in Africa? By all means, yes, we do. We have people who have proven their ability to come out from nowhere, inspire people, and lead people. They are still here today, and they are across board in all professions you can find in Nigeria and Africa. There are some in the diaspora whose one day dream is to come back here and make an impact. And that in itself is a very good platform from which we can start to address who African leaders must be, whom African leaders cannot and should not be. This is the time to speak to. This is the time to decree. This is the time to talk to a particular generation who have the promise.
It's okay. It's okay. It's okay. Just calm down. Calm down. Just calm down. Calm down.
Our children.
Yeah.
We know them as millennials. I'm sorry. You see, these millennials, they hold our promise. We cannot continue to underestimate them. We must speak to them. We must decree by word of mouth that which they have to become. They will become what we call them. If we are proud of them, they will make us proud. We are ashamed of them, they will bring us shame. And we have an amplitude of these people. And that is why, if you look at the statistics, you see that Nigeria has a youth bulge. There are more people who were born from 1980 to date in Nigeria than there is any other generation. From the millennials to the centennials to Generation I to Generation Z, we are fledgling, we are bulging with them. And they come with so many astounding attributes. And what are these attributes? These are people that do things off their heads where I struggle. If we went to what you see on the screen today, I, for one, belong to what you call generation, the 13ers, or the people who were born between 65 and 79. The ones I'm talking about are actually people who were born anywhere from 1980 to this moment. We know them as millennials or Generation Y. Then the ones who were born from the 90s to 2010s are Generation Z, the I generation, and centennials combined. And there is something about these people that is so promising. They are actually what you call digital natives. And who are digital natives? Digital natives are people who can do something in just about the time it will take you to press that button on your smartphone. In my time, we did not have the luxury or the skill of what this bustling populace of Nigerians have. What we call them, what we speak to them, what we decree into their subconscious mind is what they become. I'll give you an example. If you went into crime, they populate crime. Why do they populate crime? Because they are frustrated. If you went into any manner of vice, you'll find them there. If you went to the armed forces, it's they who are there defending us. Of course, yes. If you went to any militant camp, they don't look for people like me or elders or pensioners. They go for these very rich, resourceful, energetic, strong people resource of our nation. But because we are ruled by bosses, these children are being wasted. They're called names. It shouldn't be so. It shouldn't be so. They have all the potential it takes to put Nigeria tomorrow where Nigeria should be, first among equals. Probably only, that's how impassioned I am about these people. And so I go on to the fifth one to say, who is that dream African leader? That dream African leader, as I have told you, is this group of people. This group of people who were born sometime 79, 80, up to 2022. If you had someone who was born, for example, in 2010, and you discovered he was a football prodigy, it means Nigeria is in for 30 years of football mastery. What if you discovered he was a pickpocket? That means Nigeria is in for some 30 years of problems and crime. Today, we have these children, these young ones, these millennials and centennials, Generation Y, X, and what have you. And these people are actually what you call nurturable. They're nurturable because wherever you find them, wherever your leadership abilities place you, if you are in religion, you are a religious leader, you speak to them. They will listen. If you were a future, if you were a unit commander in the armed forces, there are people who seek to be inspired. They are looking for role models. Our young ones are hungry for role models. They want someone they can look up to. They want someone they can look up to. But the kind of leaders we have found ourselves and entrenched with for a while has made it such that they really do not have people to copy any virtues from. Today, you see our youth being used as dogs. That energy potential to become a dog is what Nigeria needs to put an armed forces down that probably will have the strength of any armed forces on this planet. If we were to showcase 1 million youths as soldiers, I trust Nigeria will give you 100 million. After all, I told you, the statistics have already told you where the youth bulge is. So having said this, you begin to see that leadership is everything. Leadership is everything. I call on a favorite preacher of mine. I like to follow him closely. He is of blessed memory, and he goes by the name Miles Monroe. God bless his soul. Miles Monroe put it aptly. He says, if a pack of lions is led by a sheep, they become sheep. And if a pack of sheep are led by lions, they become lions. You see, we have very young, very, very vibrant youth population that are just waiting for that leader that will come in and lead them to that place where we should be. And depending on who leads them, that's what they will become, and that's who we become. Of course, that's not who we are, but then that's what's happening, and we need to see to it. We need to speak to it. We need to ensure that those who lead us going forward are leaders, not despots, godfathers, and all manner of people who just want to trample on and use this youth. That is it. And then coming down to the sixth point, as in where are Africa's dream leaders? I say Africa's dream leaders as I speak to you today. They are everywhere. They populate every nook and corner of Africa, of Nigeria, and Africa too, actually. In Nigeria, as you see it, we're looking at a situation where on the streets, in the banks, in the armed forces, you name it, you are seeing young, vibrant people who are revving to go, and they are probably being constrained by bosses. And a boss who sits down, or a godfather, he puts his leg on his table, he feels entitled and says, go, you go and bring it in, or you go and die. And a leader, on the other hand, says, you know what, come together, let's go, let's do this. I've seen many of such potential leaders, but I tell you, in today's Africa, they are so few, they are insignificant. But today's leaders need to understand that on a trajectory of life, these young ones I speak of, by God's grace, have more time to be here than we or the leaders. And that in itself is instrumental to what? If our African leaders want to actually leave a legacy, there is no harm in looking back and atoning for what we've already done. There are African leaders who have been put us through so much torment. May not be out of the way to say, you know what? Let's allow our youth to take the front seat, and let's take the back seat and mentor them and direct them. If there is any one thing left, there's any one thing I want to credit our So I call it failed African leadership. It's simple. They have taught us everything we shouldn't do. They have taught these young ones every corner and turn we mustn't make. That's just the only credit I can say I give to a generation of failed African leaders. You can go on naming them across every region of Africa. Every single country has them. We have become, we tend to even showcase them, but that can change. Now, who is a boss? Who is a leader? How do we know them? What differences can we see when we speak about them? Simple. Anywhere you see a boss, anywhere you see a godfather, you will see that they are like slave drivers. They are like slave drivers. Rather than give you opportunity, no, you bring opportunity to them. Let me give you an example. What you're seeing on the screen, for example, you have bosses or godfathers or whatever they call themselves. They are people who actually have the following attributes. They generate fear, for example. They demand respect, like if anyone was born with it. They make employees feel inferior. They depend on authority to do anything. They use employees. Does that resonate with you? They use employees. If you see our godfathers here, they use youths. Once they are in power, that's all. You have expired. They lock their doors until the next time there is a transition window opening, then you see them again. So those are these attributes that you see, which are quite different from what you see in a mentor, a leader, or an inspirer. And what does he do? What he does is he leads. He leads people, as in he leads employees. He develops people. Okay? I recall a mentor of mine once told me something, and he said, you know what? When I'm done with you, with every day you spend with me, I will become progressively useless to you. Yes, indeed. And he did just that. That's what leaders do. That's what mentors do. What do? They make themselves progressively useless to you. With every day you spend with them, you need them less. With a godfather, the day you stop needing him is the day you cut your legs because you say, okay, you have started going on. And that's what we see in our politics. You dare not raise your head. Isaac Newton put it mildly when he said, to sit on the shoulders of a giant so you could see further. You dare not try to sit on a godfather's shoulders. That is disrespectful. Leaders will prop you up so you can see what they see. And like the biblical Moses, you may not get to the promised land, but you make sure you want to build those who will go there. That's mentorship, that's leadership. That's mentorship, that's leadership. A leader earns respect, he doesn't demand it. A leader makes his employees or his followers feel they are valued. They feel you belong, you matter. Trust. Trust. Leaders are people you hate to disappoint, you hate to let down. Whereas godfathers are people at the first opportunity you have to be rid of them, let's be true, they will actually do just that. But fear is what makes people not to do that. So when you are with a godfather, you feel fear, even though you pretend it is respect you are feeling. But when you are with a leader, you revere him. You revere him and you know that, yes, what you feel is sincere, what you feel is deep. And we are actually blessed with a young, vibrant population of people beings who are looking forward to, who are hungry someone whom they can just look up to, call a leader. So having gone through all of this, I want to come back again to yet another graphic presentation of who our millennials are, so I could define them some more. And this presentation is actually encapsulated in a very small graph, just like the one you are seeing, which actually defines and describes millennials the way we have come to know them. When you look at people generally, you find that there is a degree to which the political and the economic vagaries of when you were born or the formative years of your life impact on you. So you begin to see our young generation of millennials and centennials exhibit certain attributes that are informative. Not this graphic, the other graphic, if you hear me. You will begin to see them display certain attributes that people who do not understand them tend to find as a bit outlandish or even unusual. But if you understand what informs this, you begin to see the prospects and you begin to see what a wonderful generation of assets God has put in our country. So if you look at it from the millennials, Generation Y up to Generation Z and the later generations, you begin to see that they were not born into times when they could actually be said to have witnessed any of these dictatorships Nigeria went through or Africa went through. If you observe Africa's history, there was a year that was virtually ceded to military regimes when coups and counter coups were trending. These young generational assets were not born there. These young generational assets were born in the 90s up and now when the wind or the wave of democracy started spreading through Africa. And what does that mean? They were born and have caught their teeth in times when they could question civil authority. Their leaders, however, or the African leader today was born in times when coups were trending, when authority was absolute. So you now begin to see the culture clash in what makes leaders, African leaders of today, think these young national assets are brash or brats or even unruly. No, they're not. They were born in times where information could be gotten at the touch of a button. I had to go to libraries to get information. And even when I got to the library sometimes, my mates who were faster would have removed the book from sociology and gone and hidden it in the history rack. So it took us all year and all time on campus to get information, whereas these ones get information readily at the touch of a button. So when leaders speak, and this generation corrects the kind of leaders we have, they find them to be unruly, they find them to be forward, they find them to be brash. They're not. They're just products of the times, both technological, political, economical, sociological, in which they were born. So you begin to see that if we look at all these things and we weigh them on and look at the situation we have, one cannot but feel a bit emotional at times. I was robbed of my youth, yes, but I really feel pain when I consider the prospect of having to live through seeing my children robbed of their youth. The later generations, Generation Z and I are already, my children fall into that category. And I have younger ones again who are actually of the 80s too, and early and mid 90s. So basically what I'm looking at is Nigeria has a very vibrant share of these people, and we are also blessed with another generous share of an elderly generation. In Nigeria, you can find the traditionalists or the silent generation. You could also find people who are baby boomers. You could also find, there may be very few, but they're there and we refer them. So we're not saying that our leaders or the generations are useless as they get older. No, that's not it. But what we're saying is our leaders must begin to see the blessings in our children, because ultimately no nation, no people can be greater than its children.
Captain Blade, you have to help me. I've heard your very deep and incisive and analytical analysis of our leaders, our youth, and the different age groups. Now we are in Nigeria 2023. We're looking for a president, we're looking for governors, we're looking for Senate leaders and people in Senate and House of Representatives. And if they allow us, we're looking for local government chairmen. What do we do and how are we going to do it to ensure that we get the right kind of leaders in these places? And what are you going to do as an individual to make sure that this happens? Because quite frankly, as far as I'm concerned, if we don't get it right in 2023, I don't know how far down Nigeria is going to go. So tell me, what can we do practically to ensure that we get a good crop of leaders in 2023?
Indeed, our transition window is already wide open, and we can see people are all coming out to declare interest. For me, I want to first and foremost appeal to Nigerians to ensure they participate in this transition. Transition is not just about wishing and talking and believing the other man will go out there and do what needs to be done. No. Everybody's job could end up as nobody's job because Mr. A thinks Mr. B has done it and vice versa. Having said that, I also want to appeal to Nigerians to understand something. I say it wherever I go, and at the risk of maybe sounding like a rabble rouser, I just say it because it's true. Please, I beg of you, don't go taking rice and bags of oil and bags of rice, and cans of oil for votes. In fact, if you want to know the thief, if you want to know the one who is primed to steal, look out for that one that will come to you with a bag of rice. Because if you take his rice and eat that rice, there goes your 4-year mandate. There goes your 4-year mandate. Don't eat his rice, then come back tomorrow and want to tell him how to do or what to do with your mandate. You've exchanged your mandate for that rice. When they come to you with the kind of gifts they come with, laden with gifts, those are not gifts. Those are very toxic entrapments. If you want to know those that won't do well in 2023 and beyond, look out for the ones that will come with bags and bags of food. Those that will serve you well will have nothing but their heart and their promise to offer you. They will tell you, this is what I'm going to do, and this is how I intend to do it. If it's fine with you, you vote them. If they cannot defend what they want to do, please do not vote them. And age will not be a factor. age will not be a factor. History and religion is replete with leaders who emerged at the age of 3. Some were that young, 3 years old, and they were already driven to lead. We have seen another traditional ruler in this country who is in the Guinness Book of Record as the youngest monarch. He ascended the throne at 3. So nobody should tell you you are too young or you are middle-aged or you're too old to run. It's not true. It's about what do you have to offer? What do you have to offer? Are you ready to serve people or do you want to lead and trample upon them? Who cannot serve cannot lead.
The question, Blade, is how do we together work at getting the right kind of leaders? What do we do? You know, we know the types of leaders we want and we want them to be servants and all that. But what can we do as Nigerians to ensure, you see, parties now in Nigeria that are dominant. I think the new Electoral Act has finally said that you can have independent candidature or something like that, based on the amendment that Buhari did. And we need to do an analysis of that Electoral Act. So Olu from back office, please, let's do an analysis of it so people understand. Now, but you have 2 parties now, PDP, APC. If we leave it to these 2 parties, I can assure you that they are not going to choose for us through their primary process people we may find acceptable. They may not. We run that risk. But even if you look at the plethora of people that they are parading, the people who have been through the process before, the people who claim to want leadership, the people who have been in leadership before, some of them are aging, some of them we know their record, some of them we know whether they did well or not. A lot of them have corruption charges or insinuations of corruption and potential corruption hanging over their heads. A few have charges of not being quite competent and not being capable. And almost none of them, and I can say categorically, and I don't mind being quoted, almost none of them truly love this nation. For them, politics is a transaction, and to some extent, you can't blame them. When a man spends 15 billion stolen or borrowed or hired to run a campaign and gets into office, what do you think he's going to do when he gets into office? He's going to try and recoup his money. Even if it was money he had stolen from your treasury in the first place, you will still try and recoup it one way or the other. So this whole essence of politics and leadership and people getting into power in Nigeria is a whole transaction. And a lot of them have this painful sense of entitlement that they've suffered, they've been through politics 20, 25 years, it must be them or nobody else. And this is what we're laden with. And very, very few of them really care about who that they are leading. Those people are secondary. So, in fact, my own surprise is that anything gets done in Nigeria, that roads get repaired, bridges get built, potholes get filled. Most of the time, the reason why those things are done is not because they want the people to be happy. It's because it's a window for a transaction. It's a window for graft. It's a window for somebody and their cronies to make money. You know, my question to you, Blade, is what can the ordinary Nigerian do? And you have to also understand that illiteracy has been weaponized, poverty has been weaponized, such that a lot of the 80% of the 216 million Nigerians don't even know what to do. They don't know good from bad leadership. They don't know right from wrong. They're being led by the nose. So what can people who know better, what can you do? What can I do? What can people on this platform think of doing to really, really ensure that we find the right kind of people in Nigeria, or at the very least, prevent the wrong kind of people from again ascending into leadership in this country? I want some practical steps that you think we can do, because this is what people want now. They want information, they want motivation, they want somebody that will inspire them to have hope and to do the right thing. And I think you can be one of those people that can inspire some of us on this platform or give us a message to pass to the generality of Nigerians to inspire them to say, you know what, we can still take our country back. You need to look at the kind of arrogance with which some of our present leaders treat us. They're so arrogant all over the place. And they just have this sense of is their right. No, nothing can happen. They will take care of the populace, they will rig the election, they will do whatever they want. And you guys can do whatever you want. They are going to get there, and so on and so forth. This entitlement mentality. Are we going to sit down and just be looking and have our patrimony and our nation just taken away from us like that? Naira is exchanging at 500 and something to $1. I mean, who does that? What kind of economy is that? And so on and so forth. Blade, talk to me. I want to hear from you. I really want to hear from you.
I hear you, sir. I hear you, sir. Indeed, we have so much to desire that one cannot even begin to see a way out of it. Yes, indeed, that is true. And to the average Nigerian out there, I want you to understand something. Illiteracy is not an excuse. From your little corners in your little streets, you can begin to ensure you check the excesses of these people. If Nigeria be a country as big as we are, I know Nigeria is just a compendium of streets and homes. We must start from where we are. From where I am, from my street, in my place, you don't have anybody come and do what is not right. And you just keep quiet and say, because he's our leader, or because we've been in this for too long and we do not see a way out, we can't do this. No. We can actually get there. It may not be like this, it may not be overnight, but day by day, if we put up what I've just said to challenge every single person, provided they are human and they come from amongst us, they cannot become indomitable. They cannot become lions in our midst. Poverty, illiteracy, hunger, yes, those are dire weapons they use. But day by day, I promise you, sir, that talking to these people and checking them on the spot where they are is exactly what should become trending and a culture over time. And right now, the way it is going, this, do I want to call it a renaissance, or do I want to call it an awakening spring among the people, is coming on so fast. If what I see trending every day on social media is anything to go by, that you really do not need to wait long. 2023 is going to be dramatic. Yes, we have two dominant parties. Yes, we may not be able to see a candidate who will come overnight and win from any other party, but I'm telling you that that day of reckoning is here for anyone who thinks they can just wake up in the morning, do as they wish, and tell us to our faces that nothing will happen. Oh, much will happen. I agree with you. We need to do a lot. I need to speak to you openly and tell you some things that need to be heard in this country. I agree with you. That is quite true. But then again, I need to make you understand that what we need to see, what we want to see, will take its own time to mature. But trust me, that maturity is not going to exceed the May 29th, 2023 date. You're going to see some very interesting and very awesome outcomes. I have this confidence about that.
Okay, no problem. Just to give our participants on the platform some information, what we're trying to do on this platform is to start a movement that will begin some kind of leadership search. You know, whoever has any idea, who anywhere in the world, a Nigerian, who you think is capable, competent, sincere, efficient, visionary, who can lead this nation, let us bring such a person. Let us call that person up. Okay, let us call that person up. And let us see if we can form a movement to support and back that person and find a party that the person can use before we lose our PG money. The second thing is that we're going to be sorting our bank account out very soon. and we're going to be expecting people to begin to make donations to help support this movement. Then the third is whatever role you want to play in ensuring that we can encourage people into politics, or we can ensure that the process is credible and fair, or ensuring that we can support people that we want and we trust to campaign. We'd like to know that if you can put that on the platform also, or send us a mail and all that, so that we begin to gather our army and we begin to know exactly who is ready to work and who is ready to do something. But coming back to you, Blade, and my friend Dr. Banwo is trying to ask a question, but you should give me a few minutes before I call him. I want to ask you something specific in your own area. Okay, you've been a security man for a long time. You have a history of security, and you were also in the DMI. And you are free not to answer these questions, but I'll be happy if you can give me some insight. Number one, the security situation in Nigeria, okay? We're not seeming to make much traction with it. Boko Haram here and there, banditry here and there, Fulani herdsmen here and there, and so on and so forth. And some people are saying that a lot of people are making a lot of money from this, and therefore there's a reluctance for the people who should do the right thing to do the right thing. I don't know from your experience if you agree with this, being a former military man yourself. Again, if you don't feel like answering these questions, you may pass, but I would like to know. The second thing is there really a solution or resolution to our security issues in Nigeria? And if, for instance, you were Chief of Defense Staff, or you were Minister of Defense, or the National Security Advisor, how would you tackle these problems, or what advice would you give to His Excellency, the President of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, Muhammadu Buhari? Then number three, and this is very poignant, very specific, we found in the past, especially in the time of the military, and you need to speak to me and tell me what you think of the military incursion in Nigerian leadership. Was it a good thing or not so good thing? Or is it one of the problems that we're having, even now that what you may call democracy is not maturing? And then my fourth question is this. In the past, especially in the military time, and even in the civilian time, we found some people go missing, some people killed. We have people like Dele Giwa, Alex Ifru, shot, Bola Ige shot, Chief Rewane shot in his house, and so on and so forth. These are important Nigerians. Kudirat Abiola shot also. Even MK Abiola, till tomorrow, his death is still a mystery, and so on and so forth. What really went on? What is going on? Who killed Dele Giwa? Who shot Alex Ifru? Although finally some RAFO or somebody came forward. We don't even know what happened to that case again. The thing just died. We didn't hear about it again. And so on and so forth. Bola Ige is, how does military, how did it happen in front of us? And so on and so forth. Even in this Lagos, the former governorship aspirants, 2 or 3 of them disappeared here and there. And so on and so forth. What happened, and what's your own thinking? Again, you are free not to answer these questions, but I'll be happy if you can enlighten us and we can know exactly where we're going.
Okay, let's start with armed banditry. You know, we spoke about armed banditry and the things that are happening around armed banditry and why they have become so intractable. Not only armed banditry, we're looking at terrorism, we're looking at all the security challenges we've seen in the last 11 years. I want to say this much from my own corner that at the onset of the present administration, I was indeed part of a ministerial committee that toured the entire northeastern states. And when we went in there with the 3 northeastern states, we were able to make our reports available to the then Minister of Defense, Mansour. Thereafter, matters deteriorated even much, much more than what that committee saw. I was in the Northeast, I was from Gamborungala, sorry, from Maiduguri up to the border at Gamborungala. We were there, and incidentally, the present governor of Borno State, the sitting governor now, was then a commissioner. He was our host. And let me assure you that post that visit up to this moment, there has been what you may want to call monetization, or is it a commercialization of violence? Commercialization of violence simply means the protracted nature of the problem across board, be it banditry, be it terrorism itself, is such that you begin to wonder, why would we have issues pocketing village boys who have not had formal training in any world academies, when we have generals who travel out there and do well exemplarily in world academies, but cannot come and perform creditably well and get this problem out of the way, regardless what it is, whether banditry, whether terrorism, or what have you. Now, the answer is simple. The answer is because that coercion, that motivation that needs to make the job get done is not there. Now, motivation need not be financial. Motivation need not be salary increment. Of course, there are forms of motivation. If you have read the history of Israel, for example, there was a time Israel was fighting a war, and it was called the Arab-Israeli War. And it got so bad at a point that it had to do one blunder, one service chief. Did I recommend that? Oh, I did. I did recommend that. You see, if you want us to nip this thing on the board and finish it quickly, then it has to be one blunder, one service chief. Nothing personal, it's just business. But that in itself drew ires and drew knocks from all over. And well, today one stands vindicated because we've seen that that which we did not do away with in the morning has now become so intractable at night that a lot of things are now no longer even discernible anymore. We hear today politicians are involved, tomorrow a certain senator is there, another time we hear no, this is not it. The founding father of Boko Haram, for example, we don't even know where he is again, Modu Ali Sharif. A lot of things have happened, a lot of water has passed over the way. But for me, if you ask me, that the situation as it were today, where is it headed, where is it going? It's that simple and straightforward. The funding is where the solution lies. Why they don't want to follow the funding is something I cannot begin to wrap my mind around. But then if you find the funding, you know that every bandit, every terrorist, every militant, call them whatever you will, every cattle rustler, it has to eat. Somebody must be financing this thing. And that is where I think the eye of the needle is. Going to the second one, talking about solutions and resolutions, as you said. Solutions and resolutions are as many as they come. We've seen a lot of ceasefires, we've seen a lot of agreements, we've seen a lot of dialogue, we've seen a lot of amnesty, you mentioned it. And I've always been of the impression, or I've always been of the opinion that, you see, people who do not have a history of respecting dialogue or diplomacy cannot suddenly just turn around. I've forgotten how many times dialogue, diplomacy has been the option. You see, you're looking for what we call a political solution and what have you. people who have no respect for the state, people who have no respect for constituted authority, regardless what brand of crime they are committing. These are not people you dialogue and diplomatic and amnesticize. And they've already proven they don't respect these things. Why don't we go ahead and just do what needs to be done? Again, as I told you, the politicization and monetization of violence across political divides, across our regional divides, is what sustains these things. And early in the day, I personally have made a lot of pronouncements on this. If you go to maybe Google and play a lot of my past interviews, you see these things all aptly stated there. And being, an ex, military intelligence officer also gives me some level of insight. But the level of insight I have is cogent up and up to when I was active on the field. Yes, today I do have people I could call in on and ask questions, but then certain classifieds may not be shared directly with me. I may just put two and two together and do my deductions and join the dots and read in between the lines. That too is fact about my antecedents and my past as a military intelligence officer. Military incursion into politics, I bet you that's the worst thing that happened to us as a nation. I'll tell you why. I spent my career years in years when the armed forces was in power. And while the armed forces was in power, what you see happening today is not different from what was happening then. The only difference was the leaders wore uniforms. The leaders wore uniforms, but that even created a lot of division amongst the armed forces. When I was in service, for example, military intelligence officers were dreaded, even by our own kith and kin. When I was in service, we couldn't go to the officers' mess. When officers sat down and were sharing drinks and we showed up, they just left the mess quickly because nobody wanted to be roped into a coup. When I was in service, coups and allegations of coups were 2 for 10 kobo. If they don't like you, off you go. You are railroaded into prison. We all know that happened. And that is what politics does to our kind of profession or to the military profession. Now, fast forward to 1999, when the first civilian, the first civilian president after a while, President Olusegun Obasanjo, came to power. He came to power, he retired service chiefs. And I recall there was this move to say, you know what, any officers who had tasted military offices or appointments should be retired. General Olusegun Obasanjo initiated that, but was it done wholesomely? No. There were young talks who were captains and majors and lieutenants, who were ADCs and CSOs and had tasted what the luxury of state houses was. They were not retired. They were left in service. And today they are generals. Today they are generals and they are manning commands. And having manned commands, what do you think is going to happen if these people who have tasted political power are in certain places and just believe that to sustain the kind of largesse and luxury they enjoyed as young officers standing behind their bosses, they have to sustain the theaters of battle or the theaters of security or insecurity occurrences. So at the very least, the votes keep coming in. So there are a lot of possibilities. Okay, there are a lot of possibilities. There are a lot of options. There are a lot of, I could continue on and on, but I just do it with the sense of hindsight that I was in service as far back as 97, 98, 99 does not necessarily mean I have access to classifieds in the year 2022. But then I can tell you that there were young officers who were actually very, very much in state houses through their young days as officers and know exactly the comforts and the lifestyle of people who were around office holders. And now they have become elders in the profession. Of course, they cannot wake up tomorrow and say they want to take over government because schools are not trendy. But then there should be ways they could also ensure that the kind of lifestyle or the kind of monies that is required to enjoy the lifestyles they live is made available. Sorry, we just had the power outage, but it will be restored momentarily. So these things are happening, yes. And when you look at it, you discover that in Nigeria today, you have so much happening that you begin to wonder that why have things changed so quickly? Yes, indeed, military incursion into politics have taken away a lot of things from us. The camaraderie, or how do we call it now? We call it esprit de corps. Even today, as I speak to you, military is not in politics, but we also know the schisms that exists when it comes to security, insecurity, Nigerian armed forces, and politics. There are a lot of things happening, and we cannot pretend and say nothing is happening. There's much happening, yes. And if we go to Delegua Bola Ige, Alfred Rewane, MKO Abiola, I think Funcho Williams, if my memories don't fail me, was brother to Major General Funcho, no, Major General Williams. I don't know, I'm mixing it up. These things happened, yes, indeed. We were young officers then. When Delegiwa was killed, I think I was in secondary school, but I was privileged to be in school with his son, Billy. Billy Giwa was my senior at the University of Jos. We do sit and talk. Even though we were young then, his father's death predated our service years. You could see again the hand of politics. Each regime, each dispensation, whether military or civil, came with its own nuances for unresolved killings, for mysterious killings. Today, for example, is unknown gunmen. Today, you see people, someone is killed drastically, brutally, say unknown gunmen. That's what's trending today. Yesteryears, it used to be detonations of parcel bomb. You know, somebody brings a parcel bomb, a dispatch rider, and the man is virtually gutted. He died in a very gory way. We didn't hear about parcel bombs again until somewhere towards the tail end of the Abacha years, when one of our colleagues, Rabo Lawal, is a soldier. Rabo Lawal was killed when the bomb he was meant to put in General Diaz's aircraft decided to detonate prematurely. We know of that. Then that was the trend. Then we moved from parcel bombs, if you recall, to hired assassins. Yes, there was a time again when the trend again was what you call trail of hired assassinations. Trail of hired assassinations that were also as mysterious as they are unresolved. If you remember Suliat Adedeji, assassins killed her. I could remember a prominent matriarch of the Tejo clan. She was assassinated. There are a lot of these people. So each regime comes with its own, why say, brand of unresolved killings. Each regime comes with its own brand of, how do I call it? Today, as I speak to you, we're looking at unknown government. Once upon a time, it was I had assassins. I recall the late Bola Ige. I recall Alfred Rwane. Even you may also recall names like Andrew Agom. Andrew Agom was riding with a certain governor, I believe, and somehow they were attacked, and he also was killed, and a lot of people. So with each dispensation in this country, we've come to see a trail of some unresolved, some mysterious, some gory killings. And what can we begin to say? What we can begin to say is there seem to be infightings among certain people who amongst themselves have, you know, is it this oath of silence or some kind of conspiracy of silence? And anybody who actually goes in there and partakes in the feast and breaks the rules is probably becomes victim. So we can speculate, we can continue to wonder what exactly is going on. But these are my own thoughts, as you say, of the things that have happened in the past. Whether in future we're going to find a resolution and have these things resolved and get answers is left to be seen. But to this day, they remain unresolved, and there are even probably more happening that one may not be privy to because one is not within the system anymore. I don't know if this has answered your questions, but
I think you've tried your best. I will let you off. I want to play a quick video of something that happened in the last couple of weeks. Then we'd like you to just comment on it and then take questions from the floor or comments. I don't know if Okwebango is still around and he wants to make a comment or the other. But what state are you from?
I'm from Niger State.
Niger State, okay.
Yes.
But you're a Christian?
No, I'm a friend of the church and I'm Muslim.
Okay, all right. You are sounding Christian. You are quoting from the Bible.
Oh, yes, indeed. The reason being I have a Christian wife.
Oh, what? Oh, that's good. That's very good. Okay, let's look at this video quickly.
The second time in office, your salary will be paid. The salary of the lecturer will be paid. We want to really know what is happening. So, if it is for us to take a cross on us, we will be able to take that. So, we are tired of this incessant strike on our education sector. Nigerians should look at Nigerians who want to migrate from Ukraine to back to Nigeria. It showed the lackadaisical attitude of our government toward education sector. That is why Nigerians are leaving this country to study outside the country. Because our government has bastardized our education. They have killed the primary and secondary school education in this country. And you can only see the children of the poorest to attend public primary and secondary school. Now, all our lecturers, I can say it equivocally, that all our lecturers, all honorable ministers, we saw it on social media. You celebrated your son who graduated in a country, as a university outside this country. We appreciate that. Our parents also have that money to send us outside the country. But we are in this country, then we should enjoy what we are paying for. So we want an adequate funding of education in this country. Honorable Minister, our message is we want to go back to class. We want our school to be open. If our school is not open, we have seen it. It's not a threat. When we said we are coming out, as I speak, nearly the Niger road is blocked, Benue is blocked, Adamawa is blocked. If care is not taken, this will be worse than NSAS. Thank you and God bless you.
So instead of coming here, you should have addressed your lecturers there. Perhaps the only point that you made that is worthy of even attention is you said students should be involved in this, and I think probably this is a very good thing.
Thank you, sir.
And it is the only thing I'm going to take out of what you have said here. Thank you very much.
Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Solidarity forever. Are you telling us?
You can now see that we don't finish that. The minister that they are paying his salary.
We don't finish that business.
With the talking as
He
walk out of us.
President.
Any comments on that? What do you think? And then I'm going to ask Okwebanwo to make his comments and hand over to my co-compare, Sonny Enebi, to take the questions and answers. Go ahead, sir.
Yes, indeed. You can see that a lot of very potent issues were raised, and that's not the first time. You know, we've had how do I call it? Is it a brain drain now, a labor drain? We've seen doctors leaving. This predates the Ukrainian thing. This idea of doctors migrating to better climes, teachers. In fact, there was a time the foreigners were even coming to Nigeria to open offices and start employing people. Island visas were even being given on the spot. And the reason is simple, because the system we're running doesn't seem to care. It talks down on people. It doesn't seem to appreciate the fact that, look, so long as you are not in government, so long as you are not in the ruling party, you are against us. But don't forget, the man was saying there that we pay your salaries. Yes, our collective patrimony, what we are able to get as a people pays your salary, regardless whom you think you are, where you are from, your faith, it doesn't matter. So we are looking at a situation where the labor itself is beginning to become, they've run out of patience with government. We've seen people who probably cannot be bothered because their children are not in the schools we're talking about. Their children do not go to the hospitals we're talking about. Their children probably, in fact, as I speak to you, these are people that can actually be flown abroad like this if anything goes wrong with them. Probably we'll have a day, someday, probably when countries will begin to say, okay, we may start turning you around if you come here for treatment. So you are seeing these things, they are not debatable, they are not arguable, except if one wants to be deluded, if one wants to be indulged in self-deceit. We're looking at problems that are very potent and cogent. We're looking at a situation where if people decide to go and study abroad for whatever reasons, I have no problem with that. But then I must tell you that a people must be able to reach out to their own, a government particularly, and bring whoever wants to come back in, not for any reason. I'll tell you why. You see, countries are respected partly. One of the reasons that countries are respected is not only because of who their leaders are or how big their country is. Britain is a very small country. But the respect the country gets is actually what impacts the passport its citizens carry. A passport is just like a surname, if you like. Our fathers' names precedes us. So our leaders, their ambience, what they are known for, precedes us wherever we go with this passport. So we don't sit back home and say, no, it's people from a certain part of the country only that go to Ukraine. So let them stay there. Now they're running. No, it doesn't work that way. Okay, look at what happened to us in South Africa. Look at what happened to us in Ghana. Look at what happened to us in, what's the name of this other country again? Egypt. You know, it's because there is no reckoning for the nation. I tell you, I was live when Liberia, we moved into Liberia to rescue Liberia from itself during the Civil War. And I could remember Nigerian army was actually deploying while America was evacuating. Even monkeys and pets, dogs in cages were evacuated. But people who were from other countries whose passports didn't carry that weight were not evacuated. The reason is simple. The respect for that country's passport is what leaders past have worked for. I was working for another multinational when Nigeria shut down, and I think President Jonathan increased fuel prices or something like that. Occupy, is it Occupy? Was this Occupy Nigeria or something?
Occupy
and what
Nigeria.
happened? Yes, Occupy Nigeria. Right there in the multinational I was working, the American embassy sent a chopper, and the chopper landed. One of my expatriates had a wife who had a set of twins who were Americans. Father and mother were not citizens. But the country was, they just came and said, you know what? Are you sure you are okay here or you want to evacuate? Now, these are the things that give you reckoning wherever you show up. What your country is ready to do for you. When your country abandons you, what do you think the people there will do to you? They will make bonfire out of you. Oh, even in his country has already forgotten about him. He's abandoned. So those things the labor union leader was saying are not out of place. The arrogance, the aloofness, the carefreeness, you're on your own, ambience. Our leaders tend to treat people with is not acceptable anywhere. Not on 2022 planet Earth, not anymore. Okay, I recall very vividly. I was pained when a citizen had to use his own aircraft to go and evacuate us from South Africa. And even then, he probably risked being scandalized. It shouldn't be. It shouldn't be. Look, if we have private jets that can leap from here to Kenya and then on to England for medical checkup, I'm very sure we should be able to lift one Charlie 130, and we have friendly nations around the way where we can land and refuel and go bring, even if it is just a sample populace back, we couldn't bring all. We have ships. There is Siri, there is Ambe, there is Borama. These are ships that evacuated Liberia, Nigerians from the coast of Monrovia and brought them home to Lagos and settled them at the Iru refugee camp in Ituah or somewhere around. So today we are saying we couldn't send ships to go bring Nigerians from South Africa. We cannot sail from the coasts of Apathy and hit the Atlantic and come on. So these are the things that make you, in the eyes of a foreigner, those are your graces. Wherever you go, if you like, don't go to Ukraine. Go to wherever you must. Whether you go to Ukraine or you go to America, you go to the Cayman Islands, wherever you go, your country's reputation precedes you. And your country's reputation is also what your leaders make of it. So when you see the British passport, or when you see the American passport, or you even see the Ghanaian passport these days, the Ghanaian passport has actually been enabled to do so much for the Ghanaian now that he doesn't even need to do a lot of things anymore. Those are the things that give you that worth. Those are the things that command respect for you. And if we don't get it right the way our leaders are doing, Nigerians cannot be valued or respected anywhere.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Sonny, I don't know if you have any questions. Okwe, Banwo, if you are still there, you had a comment you wanted to make. Sonny, over to you.
All right. Thank you very much, Pastor. Thank you, Captain Blade. You have spoken extensively about the challenges of Africa and what we can do. I don't know if there are people on the platform that have questions, you can raise your hand up electronically and we'll be able to take those questions or comments. While we're waiting, yeah, go ahead.
All right, well, thank you so much. And thank you, Pastor Ituah, and also Captain Blake. Thank you so much for sharing, and it's just very exciting listening to you. My own comment is not so much comments about your comments, but to just talk to Pastor Ituah about bottom lining is hinted, he's talked about it, and I think we all recognize at this point that nobody is going to come and give power to anybody. The people that are there right now, they are so invested in their own corruption that talking any English for the next 10 years is not going to bring a change in Nigeria. We need a genuine set of people who really want something good for this country and who are not yet sold out, who have not yet been enmeshed in the corruption that this country is. I personally don't believe that any current leader who has been in government at least for years can be part of the solution. And that has been my own source of frustration. And I was so happy when I kept hearing Pastor Ituah, I kept refraining it. What are we going to do? What are we going to do? And I think it's really pretty simple. He has said it. We just now need to now agree to start doing it, is to form a body of what I call non-partisan Nigerians who really want the best for this country, people with some means and those without means, where we start gathering together to start looking for credible people who can actually make a difference. And it takes people at on a big level, people who can command the kind of clout to make, and who have the respectability and the following out there that can start making a lot of people come in, like a Pastor Ituah. I started Nigeria Lives Matter a few years ago because of this type of frustration, that we have to build a system. These people keep talking about structure. Yes, nobody will build a structure and give it to anybody, whether it's youth or old. They are going to use that structure to keep oppressing us. They're going to hand it over to those who are going to support the continuous oppression and protect their fraudulent past. So, Pastor Ituah, my comment is really very simple. Somebody has got to build the cat and build it very hard. I will be willing to collapse my own Nigeria Lives Matter in there. I've got a sizable following. I've got a sizable structure, but I know I'm in the US. I'm not even in Nigeria. So there's a limit to the real impact I can have. But I'm willing to work with whatever you have going on. I'm willing to put all my energy, even money in it, because if we can put money in electing, trying to elect Buhari back in 2015, even though we're not even politicians, why won't we put money in something that we know can rescue Nigeria? And I do believe a lot of Nigerians will contribute, even if they don't have the kind of millions that maybe you or people like me can put in. People can put in 10,000, 1,000, whatever, but somebody is got to start. We have to stop dancing around it, Pastor Ituah. You got to go, and you got to go hard. So people like us can rally around and begin to put resources together instead of asking, because we all know these problems, we all know these solutions, we all know the real solutions that Nigeria should have. Even those in government, they know, but they can't do it because their answers are so soiled, they can't make any fundamental change. It's like asking a Tinubu to come and make a fundamental change in Nigeria. He cannot do it because his whole system has been built on that same corrupt system we have. So we need new people like a Pastor Ituah who's going to say, well, I don't care, let's do this. And someone like me will be willing to come. But thank you so much for coming in here and sharing with us a lot of those ideas of improving the nation. But I think we are beyond looking for the solutions. We know them. Pastor Ituah, if I put him on the hot seat, which I'm doing tomorrow, by the way, he's going to tell me all the solutions. He knows it. Most of us do that. But now, what do? It starts with somebody saying, here is the movement. Here is what I put together. Join me. Bring what you have. Let's build this stuff. And then maybe this country can then have a chance. And time is running out. It's less than 1 year to 2023 election. If we are going to make any impact in terms of maybe looking for credible candidates to support, we better roll right now. Or we might as well wait another 7 years. And Pastor Ituah said, if we don't start getting it together in 2023, it may take us another 100 years to get it together. So I just want to encourage my pastor, time to be reticent is over. You got to come, and you got to come hard. Somebody's got to do it. Why not you? And I'm saying someone like me will be more than happy to join in whatever capacity. If it's to make noise, so if it is to donate money or whatever, I'm down. Thank you so much, Pastor.
Thank you very much, my brother, Dr. Okpebang. I'm going to take you on. So be ready to back up what you've just said. I'm going to take you on. Okay? And you're going to put your money there. I know you got a lot of it. And you're going to make the noise. I know you're able to do it. So I'm going to take you on. And the movement has started. End of story.
100%. 100%, sir.
Oh, good. Okay. All right, Sonny, over to you. Any other questions from anybody?
Yeah, we have Antonio Bebo. I think he was spurred by Dr. Okpe.
Antonio, we're going to take Anthony on too. So he's going to bring plenty of his money, and he has money from 3 continents. And he's going to also make some noise all over the place. Anthony, you're most welcome. Go ahead.
Yeah, hello, good afternoon, everybody. So, Nigeria, man, where do I start? The question about the insecurity, the Boko Haram, the bandits and all that. These are all things that are happening from within Nigeria. Nigerians are responsible for this. If you watch on Channels TV, somewhere around August 25, 2021, there was a retired Commodore Kunle Olawumi on Channels TV. Very eloquent, very brilliant chap. And you just Google, technology. I have this saying, after God, the next most important thing is technology. Without technology, we're forever doomed. But thank God for technology. So we're not. If you do a Google search on retired Commodore Kunle Olawumi on about August 25, 2021, the videos are there for you to watch for free. He spoke a lot about what's going on in Nigeria with respect to the insecurity, just to put that to rest. Regarding our electoral situation, there are all kinds of solutions, but I'm trying to look at things from as practical as I can, with simplicity. The PVC, this card, PVC, I left Nigeria in 1988, but I have a PVC. But I'm not able to vote here because we're not allowed to vote in the diaspora. So the PVC is a very serious tool, that, the population, the youth they're talking about, they can change things tomorrow, the youth. If our youth go and get the PVC, even with the system we have right now, assuming nobody's doing anything, if our youth get the PVC, just like I was determined, I left the United States, came to Nigeria, I went through hell, but I got it. So that when it's time to be able to vote in diaspora, somehow I'll be able to vote. Anyway, if our youth can go and get the PVCs en masse, and then based on the PVCs, make their demands, just like our women. You saw what happened last week with the National Assembly, rejecting our women. Some primitive characters, using the National Assembly as a means of expressing, their viciousness against our women. So this PVC is one quick way to get rid of these guys and make demands. Because once they see that there's a critical mass that are trying to make a statement with the PVC, even as we speak right now, you'll have an impact. Then I want to have a comment also about the situation with democracy. Generally speaking, you get the democracy you deserve. This is how democracy works. It's a very subscale system of government. There are assumptions that you deal in a civilized environment. It's not just democracy for anybody. So, relatively speaking, you get the democracy you deserve. That's what we have that. And lastly, I want to talk about the hypocrisy of our politicians. Here we are in a country, everything is collapsing around us, and we keep going overseas. We have no hospitals, we leave our own homeland, we can't pay our doctors, we go to those who train their own children to be doctors and ask them to treat us. With hard resources we have in Nigeria, dollars, we take them abroad. Doing all kinds of dumb things, all over the place. It's all over the place, all right? So now, if we can get our kids, the youth, like the women movement now, with respect to what they did to them last week. If the mothers will speak to their children and say, you know what, who raised you? Most of the kids will respond to say, Mama, you raised us. Okay, guess what? The politicians are insulting me. If our mothers can say that to their kids that are above 18, that the politicians are insulting me. And I said, I don't count in this country. And if I don't count, you don't count. Since they're above 18, go and get your PVC. If they do that in every state, those people who voted against the women last week, to ensure that they vote them out. I mean, if my mother were to tell me the same thing, I will fly to Nigeria and make sure I vote the person out. So these are subtle ways that we can have serious impacts, because the idea of forming a new party and all that is all well and good, but the structure on ground and reality on ground in Nigeria is so deep that these guys are entrenched. But if the angered group in Nigeria with respect to the women, the youth, they can come together with technology, get their PVCs, and people know that they have the critical mass, they're going to listen to them. Otherwise, you throw them out of the office. In the meantime, we're still trying to struggle to get Nigeria from the corrupt, should I say, constitution, which is never by the people, to something by the people. But in the meantime, these are short, quick, low-hanging fruits. That's what I got to say. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Brother Anthony. I think you've made your comment, and I think Captain Blade is taking notes of those comments. I will let more people make comments. I saw on the group chat, Professor BC Showumi said he has a comment to make. So if Professor BC Showumi is there, please unmute yourself and make your comment. Is Prof there? Adebisi Showumi. You have to unmute yourself. You are muted.
I'm trying. Okay, thank you very much. Thank you very much, Sonny. Thank you very much, our presenter. That has been a very cerebral and insightful and also very educative presentation. And I thank you. And I thank Pastor Ituah for bringing you on. My first comment is this. There's so much disenchantment among the people about Nigerian politics. Many people have lost interest and they don't believe that they have any role to play in deciding who their leaders would be. Many people don't vote, who should vote. So my first point is this: what can we do about sensitizing people to know that, as Aisha Yusuf said, the most important office in the country is the office of the citizen? How can we sensitize people to know that they have the power to put in the kind of leadership they desire and that we deserve in Nigeria? There's so much apathy. And so how do we do that? That's my first, it's like a question. Secondly, when you say get your PVC to vote, okay, but whom do you vote for? It's the person that the political party has put forward. So it is at the point of, I think, if there are primaries or so, it's at the point of primaries that you have a role to play in deciding who gets the ticket of the party. But if we don't participate, and we cannot participate in the primaries, and each party has its own candidates, then we are left between the devil and the deep blue sea. So we are just, it's a fait accompli. That's why some people don't vote. They say there is no choice. They have no choice. There's nobody to choose. So how do we really have an input into who gets the candidacy of their party? Thirdly, talking about leadership, you've said a lot about leadership and comparing with bosses and so on. You see, I think anybody who wants to be president of this country, it's not because it's a life ambition. It's not because they just want to get there, but they want to make an impact. They want to make life better for the people. So we need to find people who are patriotic, who have shown, who have a record that they are patriotic, they put the interest of Nigeria and Nigerians first. That is another. How do we get patriotic people to come up? We still play so much money politics. It's only people who have money, usually gotten by fraudulent means, that can come up. It's costing so many millions of naira to even get a nomination for. So then that video clip, I felt, I had heard about it, but I didn't see it. I felt so sad. I could almost cry to show, to see the kind of arrogance, empty arrogance displayed by the minister. They don't know the meaning of minister means servant. But here, Nigerian ministers have become the lords, the small L. So how do we ensure that such a person who has treated people who are passionate, who are talking a lot of sense with patriotism, they treat them with such disdain and arrogance? How do we impose sanctions on them? That, you see, because otherwise, in other countries, there'll be massive rallies, like you had the Ali must go kind of thing. My penultimate point, I was very happy to see the women's groups coming up. I mean, like somebody who spoke before me said, this is a very primitive Stone Age mentality that thinks a woman belongs to the kitchen and the other room, and they have nothing to do with having fair representation. So I do hope more women's groups will come up to fight against this kind of obnoxious voting against the women. And finally, regarding the ASU strike, what are parents doing, for goodness sake? Parents are the ones involved. They are the ones who pay the fees. Why are they silent? I remember some years ago when our son was at Ife and they had this long strike, and we tried to get some parents to even make a press statement. Everybody was afraid, they backed out. I want parents to come out and speak against this Minister of Education, and then to speak against how government is treating lecturers and the educational system. Thank you very much. I'm sorry I've talked too long. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Prof. You are a prof, so you have taken the liberty as a prof.
I'm sorry.
Some lectures. No, but I mean, you spoke very, very insightful and pungent points that we should all reflect upon. So that's very, very critical, and we're happy that you're able to make those contributions. Thank you very much once again, Captain Blade, before I allow you to respond, I'll just take one more comment from Samuel Dada, who I know wants to say something, and then I will allow you to respond, and then probably ask you the final question. We can close. It's almost 7 o'clock. Thank you. Samuel Dada, you have your question and comments? I saw your hand there on here.
Good evening, everyone. Yeah, thank you. Captain, in the beginning of your discussion, you said Nigerians are ethnic nationalities. Do you still believe that we shared a national identity in Nigeria? That is one. Two, what do you think about our past leaders? Do they purportedly made it for us not to have a national biometric data for this particular reason of rigging election, of insecurity, of having political talks, so that we can be able to identify who is who, where they use some younger generations for whatever position they want, and at the end of the day, they send them abroad because we have them, we know, and you know, being in the system. So is it a calculated effort of these leaders to run this country this way? And you said something that you surely know that in the next election, that things will change. How can you show us in what manner will things change? Are we having a political revolution, or are we still having the same people coming on board? Since most of Nigerians don't have courageous people, because what I see that is the problem of we Nigerians presently that are talking, we are not courageous enough. Not that we don't have people that has the capability or the knowledge to run a country. The only factor I see from my own perspective is that we don't have courageous people that can speak to the country. Even I found one, that is Omoyele Sowore, but it was so, the people hate him so much that he talks to them anyhow. And it's a fact, it's a democratic country. What do you see to that? Thank you so much, sir.
All right. Thank you very much. Go
Sorry.
ahead, Captain Blade. You can respond to some of those things as we begin to wind.
Let me start with Professor Showme's comments. Indeed, our distinguished professor made some very, very salient points about what is happening in our country. And these things, as she said, are glaring and very embarrassing indeed. You can see that from what Professor has said, I will dare say in Nigeria today, as far as our elites in quotes, our political elites in quotes are concerned, nonsense is now the new common sense. They do what they will. They are not even, how do I say, the tenets of etiquettes is lost on them. So you really cannot embarrass a man who doesn't even know that he is an embarrassment. And that shows you how low the exalted position of public office is. Be it as it were, or be it as it is, I dare say what I have confidence in is there is a generation of people, in this part they are called Sorosoke generation, whom you're going to see spring surprises today in this political transition window. And the reason I say so is this. When it happened, if nothing else, the NSAS saga, or the unfortunate incident of NSAS, when it happened, regardless what anybody thinks, I'm not holding brief for those children or for the youth. But what I'm trying to say here is something happened there too. And what happened was it simply made one thing manifest, that our generation of young ones suddenly saw that there was power in their numbers. And across the federation, north, south, east, and west, there was an impact of what the power of this young fledgling crop of Nigerians could do. And I think these coming elections will reflect some of that, particularly for any politician who wants to underestimate or think these young ones are so hungry, they have no senses. I tell you, there are groups that will come out and even take off whatever any politician is having to offer as rightfully theirs and still not vote for him. Let me move on to Samuel Dada, am I correct? He was talking about ethnic nationalities and national identity. You see that we have 300 sovereign ethnic nationalities is a big prospect for us. A big prospect in the sense that it should not be something that should maroon our sense of progress or even our sense of greatness or even our aspirations to be the greatest nation on the planet. And this is how it works. You see, if West Africa has some, is it 18 countries now? And if Nigeria decides to become a confederacy of, is it 35 countries? What happens to West Africa? We become West Africa. We virtually cancel out West Africa. So when I see 300 ethnic nationalities or 300 sovereign ethnic nationalities, whichever way you want to call them, I see opportunity What we need is a unity in diversity. For those who are Kegites, what I'm saying will make sense. If you never bothered to be a Kegite, you don't understand what I'm talking about. Unity in diversity is a motto of Kegites. Okay, way back Iliadu Rock, what we do is we welcome you as you come, as many as you are. Jos Iliadu Rock is not in Western Nigeria, but there was a Kegite shrine there. And we go there and we gyrate and we meet friends and do what we have. So we can borrow from the Kegites. The 300 ethnic nationalities can have their sovereign identity and be a moving force in West Africa. We are talking about 35 confederating nations. If 35 confederating nations come out from one country, then the remaining 17 in West Africa who what? We take the majority. He also talked about he also talked about next election and the option of people like Shore or Moyele Shore. I do have some very fond memories of Moyele Shore. For those who don't know it, I should have been his chief security officer. As at the time he came up, we met in Lagos, we had talks. I still have respect for him. We parted ways after some few months when he had to actually go into hiding. If you recall, his life was at a point threatened. It took a lot of diplomatic efforts to get him released. And when things start happening like that and the life of individuals are no longer secured, then we have to do certain things, certain evasive drills to get ourselves also safe. So what I'm simply saying is I'm still not giving up hope on the fact that Nigeria can be better. Yes, we may seem to be speaking English or speaking to the gallery, but trust me, the intrigues, the undercurrents are not lost on me, and how to navigate these things and bring about a country that everyone can be proud of is what we are already in the process of midwifing and birthing, and I have no doubts that it will manifest.
Okay, thank you very much, Captain Blake. Pastor, are you still there? I think all right, sorry, we want to round up, but the real question that we normally ask, and just before we round up, is Captain Blade, you have spoken so well about the African challenges and your area that is really security. Albeit we still have a lot of insecurity in the system. I would have loved to ask you if we're tackling it right, and if not, what can possibly happen. But you can take that along with this. If you were the president of the Federal Republic of Nigeria today, what will you do differently?
Thank you very much. If I was the president of our Federal Republic today, I will do what I proffered for the president, our sitting president, when he came into office. When the president came into office, I sent a 9-point agenda to the president through the then NSA. Well, I don't know what happened to it, but let me just share part of what I will do, or part of what was on that 9-point agenda with you here today. You see, the first thing I will do is, Mr. President, meet the press. First things first. Then the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to open the doors, and you know what? Come in with your differences. Nigeria talks. That was my second agenda, or my second point. Nigeria talks is not about who, how, what. As many as you are, you come in with your differences. Let's put those differences on the table and talk. And the third thing I told my president was, it's time to restructure. If a house is 60 years old, sir, you need to refurbish it. And no house can stand for 60 years. Your children will tell you, Daddy, this room is old-fashioned, whatever. So those were 3 of the 9. And trust me, the remaining 6, I can say events have overtaken, but trust me, if today we throw the doors and windows open and say, hey, come in, let's talk. Let's Nigeria talk. Come with your differences. I don't want you to tell me we have to understand our differences. No, we don't have to understand our differences. We must accept our differences. So come as you are. I'm not interested in what you have to say. If you say it and your mouth doesn't catch fire, if I hear it, my ears won't burn. So let's talk. Let Nigeria talk. Don't muffle anybody. That's where the problem is. We can be anything we want to and aspire to anywhere we want to. What will be the first?
After talking, what next?
As I told you, there are 6 items on the list. The remaining 3 events have overtaken. The 3 cogent ones that still matter today as what I have just mentioned, those 3 things, particularly the third one. The third one, we must restructure. You can't circumvent it. And restructuring simply means allowing people to do what they want to do, how they want to do, when they want to do it, where they want to do it. I mean, let's look. How do I put it now? Every single region in this country has something to bring to the table. Yes, every single region has something to bring to the table. And each region does not have to wait for the other. None has to wait for the other. Each can develop at its own pace. And still we meet in the center. And when we meet in the center and we, oh my, it's wonderful how we tend to not see these things in Nigeria.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much, Captain Blade. You have spoken so well, and our time has passed the hour of the hour. We have spoken about in terms of security challenges, and I do know that your state, Niger State, seem to be the epicenter right now of the security issue in the Northwest. I hope you have access to the governor to be able to share some of your expertise with him on what he can do within the context of what governors are able to do. Maybe we can take that off point. But to the larger house, we really...
Not off point. Sorry, can I just chip it in? Well, incidentally, thanks for mentioning it, because while we're having this, I'm chatting with retired General Imam Ndabulu. He's a special advisor to the governor of Niger State. And certain things we proffered early in the morning, which were not taken seriously, are being considered now, thankfully. And we should be able to route those elements out in a short time to come, hopefully, if these solutions we profile here are taken. Yes, indeed.
Okay. All right. Thank you very much for your comments. We want to appreciate everyone again. Antonio Bobo said Ali must go. Now you guys chased out Ali must go. Nuns should be unbanned. Remind me again which one is nuns? That nuns is nothing. And Charles gave you a helm that he said you are carried. What does that mean when you said you are a Kegite? You know, he said something like you are carried. I know that's the Kegite kind of greeting.
You were not a Kegite, right?
No, I was not.
No, so you really
but don't worry, I know what you are carried is.
You still have a tail. That's what you still have a tail. When we remove your tail, you
All right, we want to thank everybody for coming on the show today. We have been discussing the challenges with African leaders, especially in terms of security. Like Pastor said, what we try to do on this platform is we are seeking a solution. And I think Dr. spoke passionately in that regard. We'll be coming out with a framework. We're having a physical meeting soon. We've been meeting on Zoom for almost 2 years now, but we are planning a physical meeting either in Abuja or in Lagos, where all stakeholders can come together. We'll iron out all the various ideas we've been able to gather on this platform since we've been meeting, and we're going to be assigning various things to various people to see how we can possibly make a dent in 2023. Let's not give up. We keep being passionate about Nigeria, that there is hope for us in Nigeria. And that's why we are doing this, because we all truly believe that we can truly make an impact. And we want to appreciate all of you that have spent your evening with us. Thank you very much, Captain Blade, for sharing with us. We will speak privately. Shade, thanks very much for all that you say and all the contributions. I thank all the people that are on the platform, Kofukuka, Ola Bamibo, and all the other people. I see my formal MD, Bola Adeshola, on the platform. Bola, you're welcome. And I see a host of people. I can't mention everybody, but thank you very much.
Tony.
Have a good evening.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You.
Bola.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain.
Thank you.
God bless you. God bless you
Thank you
all.
very much, Captain. Thank you.
Thank you.
Most welcome.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.